19 runs and 6 home runs, and the hitting conditions are even better tonight. Welcome to the Lowe's pregame show on Fox. Lowe's, let's build something together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Arlington. I'm Ryan Lefevre along with Tom Grieve, and welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball Prime Time. Before last night, Kansas City had lost 8 straight here in Texas, mostly because of the Rangers' power. But, Tom, last night it was Kansas City flexing its muscles.
It really was. Last night, late in the ball game, Kansas City used the elements. The ball was carrying exceptionally well here last night. When the wind blows in from right field, the ball usually carries to the gap in right center field. David Murphy took advantage of that early in the game. Alex Gordon, in a one-run game in the 9th inning, tied it up with a line shot home run off Neftali Feliz. The ball was really carrying. The pitchers have to keep the ball down. They have to make it sink. They have to try to get ground balls, because anything in the air to right center field has a chance to go out of the ballpark.
Rangers got a great lift on Monday when they got Nelson Cruz and Josh Hamilton back from the disabled list. And for the first time since coming back from the DL, Josh Hamilton will play the field. He will be in left field for Game 2 between the Royals and the Rangers next. For 4.5 hours last night, Rangers Ballpark produced a combined 19 runs and 6 home runs, and the hitting conditions are even better tonight. Welcome to the Lowe's pregame show on Fox. Lowe's, let's build something together. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Arlington. I'm Ryan Lefevre along with Tom Grieve, and welcome to Fox Saturday Baseball Prime Time. Before last night, Kansas City had lost 8 straight here in Texas, mostly because of the Rangers' power. But, Tom, last night it was Kansas City flexing its muscles.
It really was. Last night, late in the ball game, Kansas City used the elements. The ball was carrying exceptionally well here last night. When the wind blows in from right field, the ball usually carries to the gap in right center field. David Murphy took advantage of that early in the game. Alex Gordon, in a one-run game in the 9th inning, tied it up with a line shot home run off Neftali Feliz. the ball was really carrying, the pitchers have to keep the ball down. They have to make it sink. They have to try to get ground balls, because anything in the air to right center field has a chance to go out of the ballpark.
Rangers got a great lift on Monday when they got Nelson Cruz and Josh Hamilton back from the disabled list. And for the first time since coming back from the DL, Josh Hamilton will play the field. He will be in left field for Game 2 between the Royals and the Rangers next. After 14 innings last night, Royals taking Game 1, and Matt Harrison throws a strike to Alex Gordon. Last night, Alex Gordon opened the game with a double. Then Melky Cabrera hit a double. Then Eric Hosmer hit a double. Thinking about laying one down. 1 ball, 1 strike. Royals scored 3 in the first inning last night. Then the Rangers scored 5. The Royals scored 3 in the second inning. Texas scored 2. 1 and 2 on Alex Gordon. Starting lineups brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Last year the Royals were second in the league in hitting, but 10th in runs scored. This year they are second in the league in hitting, but now 4th in runs scored. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Matt Harrison throughout the season has a little bit of a problem early in the ball game. He's a much more confident pitcher this year, much more aggressive pitcher this year. And he's been one of the keys to the Ranger rotation. Take a look at Matt's numbers. This will be his 10th start. 4-4 record. Solid ERA. Had a couple of starts in the middle that didn't go well.
Shallow right field. Nelson Cruz wants it, fighting the sun a bit. And there is 1 down. And on a hot, windy night in Texas, the opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
Now, Harrison got off to a start this year. He's 3-1 after 4 starts. His ERA was under 2. And then he had a start against Toronto and another one against Oakland where he gave up 11 runs in a little over 4 innings and really struggled. Then in his next start, got off to a shaky start against the Yankees. And I think after the second inning of that Yankee game, it was kind of at a turning point for him when he came back and shut out the Yankees for the last 4 innings. And since that time, he's been very good. I think in the past, Ryan, with Harrison, when things started to go bad, they ballooned and he wasn't able to stop the bleeding. He's a different guy this year. The mental aspect of the game is something he's beginning to master, I think. And he was able to overcome what last year he might not have been able to overcome.
Looking at that Yankee game you're talking about, he induced 6 ground ball double plays, and there's a perfect example of a pitcher learning what a defense can do behind him if he throws strikes.
Yeah, that Yankee game in Yankee Stadium, that was a big game for him. There's no doubt about it, because I think he proved to himself that under adverse circumstances he could be successful, and Yankee Stadium's tough for any pitcher. Scouting report: start fast. He's got an ERA of 10 in the first inning. After the first inning, it's 2.36. So for Matt Harrison, he's off to a good start. 2 up and 2 down.
And now facing Eric Hosmer, Kansas City's first-round pick in 2008. Called up in the middle of May and had one of his best games at the big league level last night. His first 4-hit game and the first time he drove in 4 runs.
I love the quote of one of the scouts who saw Hosmer play in the minor leagues. He said, "If this kid isn't a big league star, I'm going to get in the furniture business." And from what the Rangers have seen of Hosmer this year, I think they would tend to agree with that. He's been terrific against the Rangers.
Got him to chase a fastball up. And now Hamilton really fighting the sun in left field. And it is a good start for Matt Harrison as he knocks down the Royals 1-2-3 in the top of the first inning. Texas, and now the Rangers lineup is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. And a week ago, Ron Washington had his entire outfield on the disabled list, but Josh Hamilton is back, Nelson Cruz is back, and now Ron Washington is waiting on Julio Bourbon. Texas Rangers 1 game below 500, and with their loss last night, and the Angels come from behind victory in Minnesota. Now the Rangers are tied for first with Los Angeles in the West. And the Rangers will be facing right-hander Sean O'Sullivan today.
You know, Sullivan has had some good points this year and some bad points. Doesn't have a lot of strikeouts, has more walks than strikeouts. His last 3 starts have been a little bit of a struggle for him. He's actually won one of those 3 games, even though his ERA is over 11. He's given up 17 runs and 22 hits in his last 16 innings. And in 3 of his last 4 starts, he hasn't struck out a batter. So he depends on keeping the ball down and making it sink, and that'll be important today. Use the sinker to get ground ball outs. That's a key for O'Sullivan today. He hasn't been a strikeout pitcher, and if he gets the ball up to the Ranger hitters, then the way the wind is blowing, the way the ball carries, the way they hit, that could pose some problems for him.
And you don't have to wait until you get into the middle of the Rangers order with Ian Kinsler's power. 6 home runs, and he hit his 16th career leadoff home run in last night's game against Nate Adcock. He had gone 30 games without a home run prior to that. 2-1.
When Josh Hamilton came off the disabled list to hit in the middle of the lineup, Kinsler, who had been hitting third, went back to leading off. And since that time, 4 games ago, Kinsler's been on base in 11 of 20 plate appearances.
Not the start that Sean O'Sullivan was hoping for. So leadoff man on for Texas. And one of the reasons why Sean O'Sullivan has been throwing more strikes is because of an improved Royals defense led by Alcides Escobar, who came over to the Royals from the Milwaukee Brewers during the offseason with other players and the trade for Zach Greinke.
You know, Ryan, you've gotten a chance to see Escobar all season long. Rangers haven't seen him quite as much, but in the short time we've seen him, I think it's been pretty obvious that we've seen exactly what you've been talking about, what a terrific defensive player he is.
Mike Avila's only play was to first, so he gets Elvis Andrus, a very good defensive shortstop himself, and Kinsler moves up to second base.
I think it's rare to see a big league game in which 2 young shortstops are in the same game with the same talent that both of these kids have. They're terrific defensive players.
Both are from Venezuela, and both grew up idolizing Omar Vizquel, and I can tell you, Escobar is quite envious of Andrus because Andrus got to play with Vizquel a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I don't think that was a coincidence on the part of the Rangers that Vizquel joined the team when Elvis joined the team as a young player. He was a terrific mentor, an idol for Elvis. He not only taught him the intricacies of playing shortstop, but how to be a big leaguer, how to carry himself, how to prepare, how to take care of himself between games.
Very high in the air, and everybody on the left side and up the middle is going to fight the sun. That is out of play, and it is 0-2 with Josh Hamilton at the plate, last year's American League MVP, on the disabled list in early April. Broke his arm sliding it at home in Detroit. And watching the replay, Tom, I've seen much more violent slides than that haven't produced an injury at all.
Yeah, when he got to third base on a triple, his head first slide into third was a more violent slide than the one home. And since he's come back to the Rangers, he's slid head first into first, second, and third in the same at bat. So I think it just speaks to what a fluke injury that was when he himself has slid more violently head first than he did on that play at the plate. Just one of those deals. And he said he can't change the way he plays. That's who he is.
Cabrera using his bare hand to shade his eyes. Hamilton is out, 2 away. Kinsler still at second base. And the Rangers were able to hang in there for the most part without Josh Hamilton in the lineup.
Obviously, the Rangers are a much more potent lineup with him in the middle of the lineup. Not just for the offense he himself brings to the lineup, but for the way he improves the players around him. And the Rangers have hung in there. No one in the American League West has gotten on a winning streak. And so it stayed bunched up all season long. And I think the Rangers feel fortunate to be in that position, but good now that they're getting their guys back and now that they're healthy.
And now strike two, Michael Young, who looks like the Michael Young when he had 5 consecutive seasons with at least 200 hits. Second in the league right now with 65 hits. He had 2 hits in game 1 against Kansas City last night. One and one.
Well, in the offseason, when there was talk that Michael Young might be traded, there was a little bit of animosity between the parties. That is a thing of the past, and it never was a concern that Michael might not show up to spring training, might be a disruptive force on the team. Anybody that knows Michael knew that wouldn't happen. And it's funny the way things turned out. The Rangers are so fortunate that they kept Michael Young. He's been their best player all season long.
Changeup with some late life. Hits the outside corner, 1-2.
And Ron Washington said right from the start, Young would not only DH, but he'd work him into the lineup at first, sometimes at third, sometimes at second, and that he would play every day. And that's exactly what's happened. He's had a day off just for a rest, but other than that, he's probably played in the field more often than he thought he would.
2-2. He is all over the leaderboard in the American League. 3rd highest batting average, 2nd most doubles, 8 most RBIs, and he's one of the best in the league hitting with runners in scoring position. Looking at that last graphic, something that Michael Young and Ichiro Suzuki had in common, all those 200 hit seasons, and in 2007 that put an end to a long string for Michael Young. He went 5 straight years with at least 200 hits.
Yeah, Ichiro and Michael pretty much set the pace for the hit leaders in baseball over the last 5 or 7 years.
Still 3-2. This is the division to be in the American League, the American League West, where at the moment, if you are 1 game above 500, that's good for first place. And if you are in last place, as the Oakland A's are, if you want to call it that, you're only a game and a half back.
The other thing about the American League West, when you take the top starting pitching rotations in the American League, the 4 best are the 4 teams in the American League West.
O'Sullivan and Matt Trainer really wanted that pitch, but didn't get it from Bill Welke. So O'Sullivan has walked 2 and now has to face Adrian Beltre.
Yeah, that's a pitch that often in the pitch tracks shows up as a strike, but is very seldom called. O'Sullivan's ball sinks. It's much lower when the catcher catches it than when it goes by the plate. But most umpires call that pitch a ball. It's pretty consistent.
Back with a strike to Adrian Beltre. This time around, Beltre, in a year after a big season before free agency, has continued his success with the new team. That was not the case back in 2004 after a big year with the Dodgers. Did not do what the Mariners were hoping for and what he was hoping for, but after a big year last year in Boston, among the league leaders now with the Rangers in home runs and RBIs. Oh, 0-2.
Adrian Gonzalez joined a new team as well this year, the Red Sox, and he's on his way to being a strong contender for the most valuable player playing for the Red Sox. And Beltre's been a terrific RBI man for the Rangers. Hasn't hit for a high average yet, but he makes his hits count.
Pass Hosmer, and that's going to go all the way down into the corner. Kinsler scores. Young will be waved home. Avila's throw is a little tall, and Texas takes a 2-0 lead.
That's the way it's been for Beltre this year with the Rangers. A lot of big hits with men on base, only hitting .250 coming into this ball game. With that pitch up, out over the plate, drives it over Hosmer's head. He picks up RBIs number 39 and 40. One of the things a lot of the Ranger hitters do is they use the whole field. Michael Young sets the standard for that as an opposite field hitter.
Sean O'Sullivan will be kicking himself, Tom. 2 walks, come around to score, and Beltre's 2-run double came on an 0-2 pitch.
Yeah, and he'd made a good pitch, Ryan, right before that. Fastball down and away. That pitch was away, probably not as far away as he wanted it, but it was up a little bit, and I think that made it a little bit easier for Beltre to get the bat on the ball. You wonder if O'Sullivan was thinking about the last pitch to Michael Young, whether that affected him in the at-bat against Beltre. Probably not.
And he didn't get that call. 1 ball, 1 strike on Nelson Cruz, also back from the disabled list. He is 0 for his last 14 with 6 strikeouts along the way. And he checks in with a .202 batting average. Very high into shallow center field. Escobar calls off Aviles, and that's the end of the inning. But the Rangers turn a couple of walks into 2 runs. Presented by Lowe's is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. So here we go to the second inning, 2-0 Texas. Let's take a look at the 4.
Ryan, we've kind of hinted at this in the first inning of the ball game. Keep the ball in the ballpark. For the Rangers, especially last night, Kansas City hit 4 home runs in the ball game. The Rangers hit a couple of their own. But the Rangers staff has allowed the 2nd most in the league. The Kansas City staff has allowed the 3rd most. And it's a night with the wind blowing in toward the 3rd base foul line, which if you hit it to right center field, it will carry a little bit extra.
Mitch Moreland calling off the catcher Mike Napoli. So 1 away in the second inning.
Well, I think the keys to the game are the same for both teams. Keep the ball in the ballpark. It'll give you a better chance. Of course, that's probably the key to any game, but maybe more so in this ballpark.
Of all the ballparks in the American League, and I guess the National League for that matter, that are known as good hitting ballparks, it seems that at least part of the year there are days when it's a better ballpark to pitch in. I don't know if that applies here in Texas.
No, it really does, because today, yesterday, if you just come in for a series, you get the impression that this is the way it always is. But it's really not that case. I think there's plenty of days where it's a fair ballpark and you have to hit the ball well to get it out of the ballpark. Early in the season, for sure, it's that way. In the summer, frequently, though, it is like this. It's very important for the Rangers to develop a staff that can pitch successfully in this ballpark.
2 balls, 1 strike on Billy Butler, Royals' first-round pick from 2004. And that's lined past Andrews and into left field, and the Royals have their first base runner.
You have to admire the way Butler hits the ball. He's a young player, but he hits like he's a 10-year veteran. He makes good contact. He takes a walk. He hits for average. And Ryan, you get a chance to see him every day. Do people feel like his power as far as home runs is just a matter of time? He hits a ton of doubles. Sometimes the theory is those doubles turn into home runs over time. I don't know what you guys think.
Absolutely. He plays in a ballpark in Kansas City that is more conducive to doubles and triples than it would be for home runs because of the huge gaps. He would hit more home runs if he played here.
Right.
But as you said, the common belief is go ahead and hit your doubles now. Eventually those will turn into home runs. If not in Kansas City, well, then maybe when the Royals are on the road.
Sure. And I guess with a guy like Butler, if the doubles never turn into home runs, when you're hitting 45 or 50 doubles, you're still getting plenty of extra base hits. I noticed in the Kansas City notes, since the start of 2009, no player in baseball has more doubles than Butler does.
Pretty hard to argue a lack of home runs with numbers like that.
Exactly. Exactly.
As the Royals try to climb back to the top of the division, and it's been a long time for them. They are trying to grow their own. And in this lineup today, they have 3 first-round picks. Alex Gordon from 2005, Billy Butler 2004, and Eric Hosmer from 2008. And then veteran guys that have been around like Wilson Betemit, Melky Cabrera, and Jeff Francoeur. A good mix of young players and veteran players.
Yeah, I think Kansas City's done a great job putting their team together for this year. They're the organization of the year for their scouting and player development.
Well, we might as well get a long look at that play, because it isn't often that Adrian Beltre has a ground ball kick out of his glove. That could have been an inning-ending double play, but instead the Rangers get only 1 out. Even Beltre can't believe it.
You see Beltre with a smile on his face. I think that's exactly what he's thinking. How did I miss this ball? Well, let's see if we can see what happened. Well, it just hits off the side of his glove. It looked like he kept his eye on the ball. He just didn't catch it. But he recovered to make the throw to first base to get 1 out anyway.
So Butler at second, and now Mike Aviles, another product of the Royals farm system, a former 13th round pick.
I think Aviles had one of the better at bats the Rangers have seen all season. That at bat against Nefi Felice in Kansas City, when I don't know how many pitches it was, 10 or 11, he got the infield hit. It tied up the game late in the game. Pretty impressive. Guy throwing 100 miles an hour. He fouled off 7 or 8 pitches, finally put one in play and got the base hit.
That ended up being an extra inning game, and now the Royals and Rangers have played 3 straight extra inning games against one another, 2 in Kansas City, and then 14 innings, 4 hours and 36 minutes last night. And it was Ned Yost's Royals that finished on top 12-7. They scored 5 runs in the top of the 14th inning.
Well, the way that game started, 7-6 after 2 innings, it was mildly shocking that the middle of that game was a game that featured great pitching. Royals may uncovered a gem in Felipe Paulino.
Kinsler goes up to get it, takes a base hit and a run away from the Royals. At the end of an inning and a half, it is 2-0 Texas. Today's game, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. A big crowd filling up Rangers ballpark. Just under 40,000 last night, a little more here tonight. Second game of 3. Royals winning last night 12-7. Now the Rangers in front 2-1 as they bat in the bottom of the second inning.
Ryan, you alluded to it on a couple of the balls hit to the left side about the sun, and the sun is an issue in this ballpark as it sets behind the right field stands. It looks very bright in that picture. It's not the high fly right now that'll be the problem. It's kind of the soft line drive, not the shot hit right at you, but something in between a line drive and a high fly that'll go right through the sun.
Deep left center field. All Alex Gordon can do is watch it land in the Kansas City bullpen.
Well, we've talked quite a bit already in this game about the importance of keeping the ball down and keeping the ball out of the air. And that's important whether you've got a ballpark where the elements favor the home run or not. Moreland has the kind of power where he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, any part of the park, in any ballpark. And the thing that's going to make him an outstanding major league hitter is this ability to hit the ball with authority the opposite way. He opened some eyes in Seattle earlier in the year. Michael Pineda was throwing 100 miles an hour for Seattle, and he pulled the ball to right field about 440 feet on a night where it was about 40 degrees and the wind was blowing in.
And now Napoli, who has excellent opposite field power, puts that on display. And the Texas Rangers have hit back-to-back home runs.
I think that Moreland's ball has a chance to be a home run anytime to that part of the ballpark. That ball, I'm not sure where that ball would have gone in another ballpark. In this ballpark, he hit it well. Not going to take that away from Napoli, but you could just tell the way the ball that ball shot out of here like a tee shot off a golf club.
And now Endy Chavez, who has not hit a home run this year.
The series the Rangers just played against the White Sox.
Did I just say Endy Chavez doesn't have a home run this year? He hits one into the upper deck. Has 3 consecutive home runs to greet Sean O'Sullivan in the second inning.
The thing that's hard, it's hard to decipher when balls are hit to right field, whether they be home runs or not in another ballpark or on a day when the wind wasn't blowing the way it is. It's hard to tell. It looked like he hit that ball pretty well. But Carlos Quentin hit a ball here in the White Sox series 4 or 5 days ago, right down the right field line that went all the way over the seats and into the concourse. So what might have been a front row home run turns into more than a front row home run, sometimes a tape measure home run, the way the wind influences the flight of the ball.
Well, forgive me for my earlier comment about not being able to imagine days when it's not good to hit here. However, in
this
5 games,
this isn't one of them.
5 games between the Royals and the Rangers here at Rangers Ballpark, we've seen 22 home runs.
Yeah, I think Kansas City has visited this ballpark and faced basically the perfect storm of conditions. You know, coming into the ballgame, we've already talked about this graphic. Both these pitching staffs are among the league leaders in home runs allowed. Kansas City's not one of the offenses that's among the leaders in home runs. The Rangers are. And then you combine that with a warm day with a wind blowing in a way that influences the ball to right field, and just got a pretty good day to hit.
O'Sullivan still throwing strikes and comes back 0-2 on Ian Kinsler, who led off the bottom of the first inning with a walk. And he, along with Michael Young, scored on an Adrian Beltre double.
I guess the difficult position for Ned Yost right now is Kansas City is coming off 2 long extra inning games. And so the bullpen's been used quite a bit. So he pretty much has to stick with Sullivan, doesn't he, for a while?
Only got 2 2/3 innings from his starting pitcher Nate Adcock last night. Long throw for Wilson Betemeet, but it's on target, and O'Sullivan finally gets an out in the bottom of the second inning. Fox Sports is proud to support Stand Up to Cancer in their work to fund groundbreaking research that helps accelerate treatment to patients. To learn more, please visit standuptocancer.org/Fox Sports. Andrews to the right side. Mike Aviles picks it off. So 2 ground ball outs for O'Sullivan after the 3 consecutive home runs.
We've been talking about last night's game quite a bit, but one of the bright spots for Kansas City in last night's game was the work of Felipe Paulino, who came in relief and threw the ball up there at 96 miles an hour with a pretty good breaking ball. And I got to think Kansas City feels pretty fortunate about that acquisition after last night.
And they are going to move him into the starting rotation.
Really?
Hamilton drives it to the opposite field, and Alex Gordon, diving, comes up a little short. Hamilton will stop at second base with a double. We just showed you Alex Gordon a moment ago without his sunglasses on. He did have them on for that line drive and nearly made a great play on the track.
That's the kind of ball that's very difficult right now as the sun sets right over the roof along the first baseline. You can look up and you're okay, but when you're looking right into the sun, even if you've got sunglasses on, the glare makes it very difficult. Now, he had a pretty good idea where that ball was, but I have to think the glare in his eyes prevented him from making that play. Gave it a great try anyway. Almost made it.
And a big curveball is in for a strike 2. Michael Young also walked in the first inning, scored on the Beltre double. And that's hit hard to center field, but Melky Cabrera is right there. So after getting 2 in the first, Texas gets 3 in the second inning. This is Fox Sports, home of the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Nothing, and the Royals are coming up in the third inning with just one hit so far against left-hander Matt Harrison, coming off a very good start on Sunday at Philadelphia, where he held the Phillies scoreless for 8 1/3 innings. So he has carried that over at least for the first 2 innings, and he throws a strike to a gentleman he threw to last year, Matt Trainer, caught for the Rangers in 2010. And now Harrison with a leaping play to the third base side of the mound. 1 down.
That's the line that Matt had against the Phillies. Ron Washington gave him a chance to go out for the 9th inning to try to get that shutout, but after 117 pitches decided not to go any further. We're talking about the Matt Harrison pitch to Matt Trainer last year. Matt Trainer was one of the more respected guys on the Ranger Ball Club last year. One of the big reasons the Rangers went to the postseason was the job that he did filling in on an everyday basis when he got the opportunity. So when there wasn't room for him with the Rangers, Kansas City made a very good acquisition when they acquired that guy.
And it was a deal that was made about 2 days before the start of the regular season, when the Royals decided they needed a little more experience behind the plate, going with Trainer as the starter and Brian Pena as the backup.
Yep. And he's got that experience. He's a terrific teammate. He's a solid player. I'm not sure what Matt wants to do when he gets done playing. That's down the road somewhere, but he's one of those guys that you could identify and say, if he wants to, he could become a big league manager. I think he's got that kind of respect.
Alcides Escobar batting .220 in his first year with the Royals, but nobody is talking about that in Kansas City. What they're talking about is his Gold Glove caliber defense at short.
I think the thing that's amazed me watching Escobar is how much he can get on the ball off balance way in the hole like that. It's really amazing, the arm strength that he has.
Harrison couldn't quite make that play, but Kinsler backs him up. Escobar is able to beat it out.
Nice play by Kinsler. He'll get a lot of runners with that play, but not Escobar, who runs pretty well. Kinsler makes this ball really well. He kind of comes around the ball, gets a lot on the throw. Good call by Mike Estabrook at first base, though. It looked like it was clearly a ball that Escobar beat to first.
So 1 on, 1 out.
I haven't said that in a long time. That he beat it to first base. I don't know if I've ever said that.
Escobar will run. He has 5 stolen bases, but the league has also thrown him out 4 times. The Royals were running wild early in the season. They have been leading the league in stolen bases all season long, but at a much slower pace now. They had 46 stolen bases in their first 36 games, but now just 5 in their last 14.
Has it appeared that the pitchers are a little more concerned with them while they're on first base now?
I would think when the pitchers get together in the pregame meetings, they're spending a little more time on trying to keep the Royals runners closer to the bag.
Well, that really was the case in spring training with the Royals. If I remember right, they've led all of Arizona in stolen bases coming out of spring training, too.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Alex Gordon. The Royals made an addition to their coaching staff, and it was first base coach Doug Sisson, who had been in the minor league system for years as the director of field, or the field coordinator in the minor leagues. And the Royals have been working on this aggressive style of running in the minor leagues for years. And when Ned Yost was hired by the Royals last year, he started out as a special advisor in the minor leagues and looked at all the minor league teams, saw what they were doing, and when he got the big league manager's job, he found a way to get Doug Sisson on the big league staff to get the big league guys running like they are on the farm.
And I'm sure Ned Yost is well aware of this. how popular that kind of a decision is within the minor league system of any organization, when the big league manager, instead of bringing in his own people or hiring people who have done the job before from another team, looks to the minor league system and rewards someone from the system with their hard work with that kind of a promotion. That's a boost to the morale of the whole organization, because they feel the same thing. This is the kind of guy that Ned Yost is. If we do our job, if we're recognized and there's an opening, he'll look to us and give us a chance. And that's just great for the morale of an organization.
Alex Gordon giving Harrison a good battle. Still 3 balls and 2 strikes. Alex Gordon is swinging the bat very well at the moment. He has hit in 8 straight. Had a home run and a double in last night's game. And recently, when the Royals weren't getting enough men on base in the leadoff spot, he was moved from the number 3 spot to the leadoff position. Now he ducks out of the way of a curveball, and he will walk, and the Royals will have 2 on with 1 out.
Yeah, it looked like Harrison kind of gave in to him there. He's challenging him, throwing a lot of fastballs. Gordon's fouling him off one right after the other. And he tried a curveball, never brought it down into the strike zone, ended up walking him.
A 9-pitch plate appearance for Alex Gordon. And now Melky Cabrera out on a ground ball to third in the first inning. Harrison throws a strike. Melky Cabrera is one of about 4 players for Kansas City that dropped anywhere from about 15 to 25 pounds during the offseason, and that has resulted in a much better year this year than last year. Cabrera really struggled in his first and only year with the Braves last year after coming up through the Yankee organization.
Yeah, I saw where Jeff Francoeur lost 30 pounds, and remembering back to his time late in the season with the Rangers, I don't remember him being overweight. He was just a big guy.
Napoli keeps it in front of him. This is the 14th inning last night in a 7-7 tie, and Melky Cabrera was somehow able to get it past Craig Gentry, who was running down everything late in the game. And the Royals ended up with 3 home runs in the 14th inning and scored 5 runs.
Yeah, the thing about that ball is Gentry had that ball timed perfectly. He just ran out of space. If he had another foot, I think he would have caught it. But Cabrera showing some pretty good power to drive the ball out of left center the way he did. Got 7 home runs.
He leads the Royals with 33 driven in, and somehow made contact with that pitch. A lot of spin, but Kinsler takes away the spin and somehow turns that into a double play. 5-0 Texas to the bottom of the 3rd. NASCAR on Fox is live from Charlotte, where Kurt Busch will try to defend his title and take home his third checkered flag of the year. Coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 begins tomorrow with the pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific in high definition here on Fox. For the 5th time in franchise history, the Rangers hit back-to-back-to-back home runs. That was leading off the second inning against Sean O'Sullivan, and that after scoring 2 runs in the first. So O'Sullivan, who is throwing strikes, he has thrown strike 1 to 13 out of 14 hitters. That was one of the keys when the game began. But he's looking for his first scoreless inning, and now Adrian Beltre launches one to left field. Alex Gordon didn't see it, but it doesn't matter.
I think when Gordon looked up for this ball, he looked right in the sun. The glare from the sun blurred his vision to where he had no idea where that ball was. Beltre, it's a low fastball. Got it up in the air. That's probably a home run regardless of what the wind is doing when you hit it to left field like that. Beltre does not like it when you rub his head. I don't know whether it feels like an electric shock to him, but that is something the Ranger players have a ball with.
Now Nelson Cruz hits a bullet into center field, and now the Rangers with 6 runs on 7 hits in 2+ innings against O'Sullivan. So Beltre with home run number 11. He has 3 driven in today, so that is 41 on the year. Beltre has 11 RBIs this season against Kansas City alone. And now an off-speed pitch is pulled into right field. Cruz will hold at second base. Francoeur has a very strong arm. So Mitch Moreland, who homered in the second inning, now singles to right. Nelson Cruz had been 0 for 15 before that base hit. And another trip to the mound for pitching coach Bob McClure.
And we're talking about last inning, how difficult this situation is for Royals manager Ned Yost. Because of the way the bullpen has been used in extra inning games, he's going to get someone up now, looks like Everett Tiefer. He wants to get as many innings as he can out of O'Sullivan, but at the same time, he doesn't want to leave him out there when he's just not being effective.
Well, you made the point earlier about how the Royals have had to use their bullpen quite a bit. There was a game on Wednesday in Baltimore, Kansas City, and Luke Hochevar on the mound. He gave up 8 runs in 1 inning early in the game, but Ned Yost was forced to leave him out there. Hochevar was able to go 7, so he pulled it back together.
Yeah, you got a lot of admiration for a guy that can come back and do that. Kobe Lewis the other night did the same thing. Somehow got through 6 innings after 50 or 55 pitches in the first 2 innings. And pretty good quality when a pitcher can come out and do that for you. There aren't many teams in the American League who have better arms in their bullpen than the Royals do. It seems like every guy that comes out of the Royals bullpen throws 96 miles an hour. The other side of it is they're very young, and as a group, it's very difficult to envision a season where they can go out there 65 or 70 times and throw 50, 60, 70 innings at their age. So I think that makes it difficult for Ned Yost too, the youth of their bullpen.
That'll help Sean O'Sullivan. 6-4-3 double play that erases Moreland and Napoli. And on the play, Nelson Cruz moves up to third base.
He kept that ball down. He got it to sink, and he got the ground ball he was looking for.
That includes rookies in the starting rotation and in the bullpen.
Not sure the makeup of your bullpen right now, but you had six. Kansas City had 6 rookies in the bullpen to start the season.
Yes.
I don't know, it's probably been done before, but I don't remember ever seeing a bullpen with 6 rookies in it like that.
And then they added Lewis Coleman shortly after the season started for a 7th rookie. Andy Chavez homered in the 2nd inning. That was the 3rd straight home run for the Rangers, leading off the 2nd against Sean O'Sullivan. Alex Gordon digging for the line makes the play in fair territory. The Rangers hit their 4th home run tonight. This one off the bat of Adrian Beltre, and they lead 6-0. Today's game, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by the all-new Focus from Ford. Drive one. And by Just for Men for mustache and beard. Keep your edge. Well, for the Kansas City Royals, this has been there, done that. Texas has hit 4 home runs in the first 3 innings. They lead 6-0. Meanwhile, Matt Harrison off to a good start. He's given up a couple of singles, one an infield single, a walk, and that's it. Got out of the 3rd inning when Ian Kinsler started an impressive double play on a ground ball from Melky Cabrera. One ball, one strike on rookie Eric Hosmer. When Ned Yost was manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, he called up a 1st-round pick by the name of Ryan Braun. Hosmer is out at first base, and he didn't hesitate at all to put Ryan Braun in the middle of the batting order. That worked out well for Braun and the Brewers, so it might have surprised some people when Ned Yost didn't wait very long to put Eric Hosmer in the middle of the order. But his reasoning is, if you're a number 3 hitter, then you should hit 3rd.
Well, I think they probably have a pretty good idea of what Hosmer's makeup is, and that probably has a little bit of something to do with it. The other side of it is the kid was hitting .439 in AAA before he got called up. And if he's going to be your long-term 3rd place hitter, you're right. Why not give him a shot at it? Might as well get used to it. He certainly hasn't shied away from it. He's having an excellent start to his major league career.
Francoeur may have broken his bat. But he lobs it into right field for a 1-out single.
With Harrison, it's never been a matter of physical talent. It's been a matter of gaining the confidence in himself to realize how good he can be, and the confidence to throw strikes, the confidence to go out there and be a big leaguer. And he came to spring training this year and he said, I read the first 2 books I've ever read in my life, which was pretty revealing. And it turns out that both of the books were books that focused on the mental aspects of the game: focus, aggressiveness, gaining confidence. And it's made a difference. I think it's what allowed him to overcome the 2 bad starts that he had in the middle of his 9 starts this year. Started out great, fell back a little, and now he's kind of back on track again.
2 balls and no strikes on Billy Butler. Harrison originally out of the Braves organization, 3rd round in 03, and among others came over to the Rangers for Elvis Andrus and Neftali Feliz for Mark Teixeira, who was with the Braves very briefly. So needless to say, that was a much better deal for the Rangers than it was for the Braves. You've got a starting pitcher, you've got a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, and you have a Rookie of the Year closer.
Yeah, I guess some people would say if you had to pick 3 positions to start your team with, I think shortstop would be one of them for sure. Starting pitching would probably be one, and some people might pick center field. Some people might pick a closer, but I guess the point is, you're right. It's hard to imagine making that kind of a trade for a guy that wasn't going to sign long term and was making a ton of money. So the Rangers cut their salary, got rid of a player that wasn't going to be here anyway, and helped build for their future. Same kind of trade the Royals have tried to make with Zach Greinke. We've seen that Alcides Escobar's same kind of guy as Elvis Andrus.
Bedamit grounded out to 3rd in the 2nd inning. Oh, 0-2. Speaking of young players and big prospects, Wilson Bedamit once upon a time was a shining light in the Braves organization, a former shortstop and projected to be a number 3 hitter for many years. Bounced around Braves, Dodgers, Yankees, White Sox, and had the best season of his career last year in Kansas City.
In big leagues, the big leagues are filled with guys that didn't blossom when they were 21. Rangers have Nelson Cruz, same kind of guy. He was a terrific AAA player. Couldn't seem to establish himself at the big leagues. Finally did when he was 27 or 28 years old. Bedamit looks like the same kind of guy. Maybe Felipe Paulino will be the same kind of guy for the Royals rotation. Point is, when a young player has that kind of talent, it's not always the team he signed with that has him when he becomes a really good player, a really good pitcher.
Nelson Cruz doing his best work with the Rangers. And getting back to what you're saying, Tom, you look at his resume and you forget this is his 4th organization.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of teams that had him in the past that wish they had him right now. When the Rangers made the trade to acquire Carlos Lee, they realized they might not be able to keep Carlos Lee, and that being the case, they wanted another player back that they could keep, and that turned out to be Nelson Cruz.
Still 2-2. Cruz has spent some time on the disabled list this year. He had a right quad injury, but last year he was on the disabled list 3 different times, and all 3 times problems with his hamstrings. Another foul ball.
Josh Hamilton, when he came back off the disabled list, originally was the designated hitter for a number of games. Today's the first day that he's played in the field. We've already talked about him diving into the bases. If there's a ball that he needs to dive for in the outfield, he will do it.
And we found out last year in his MVP season, wasn't afraid of the wall at Target Field in Minneapolis, breaking some ribs, slamming into the wall. Oh, and by the way, Texas with 6 runs, 8 hits in the first 3 innings. Hamilton has nothing to do with it.
He's holding his glove up. The sun is almost down out there, but you can see it between the stands and between the roof. There's a little slit right there where the sun is still shining through.
All the way back to the warning track, Andy Chavez. So the wind grabbed that one. The out is recorded, and Frank Coor will move up to third base. For a DirecTV game break, let's send it to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in Los Angeles.
Second baseman Mike Aviles.
All right, thank you, Chris. 6-0 here in Arlington. And the Royals trying to get on the board with runners at first and third and 2 down, and Mike Aviles, who lined out to Kinsler in the second inning. I just said that by the numbers, the Rangers haven't needed anything from Josh Hamilton today with 6 runs, 8 hits, but I would imagine that his presence in the lineup takes some load off of other guys in the lineup.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, it's not black and white. It's tough to pinpoint exactly what it means. But I think any great player, when he's out of the lineup, it not only detracts what his personal performance would be, but what he brings to the overall lineup. And just having Hamilton hit in the middle of the lineup allows Kinsler to lead off, allows other guys to move back down in the lineup where they might be more comfortable.
Napoli tags out Aviles to complete the strikeout, and the Royals strand 2 in the 4th inning against Harrison. Texas, and the Rangers with 4 home runs and a 6-0 lead against Sean O'Sullivan in the Kansas City Royals. And third time through for Texas. Ball one on Ian Kinsler. Led off the bottom of the first with a walk. Scored on an Adrian Beltre double. Mitch Moreland, Mike Napoli, Endy Chavez, and Beltre have homered for the Rangers. Sean O'Sullivan had given up 4 home runs in his first 45 innings this year. And now today, 4 home runs in 3 innings. And a bullet into center field. The Rangers have 9 hits now in 3 innings and 1 batter. Let's help make a baseball moment kids will never forget. Go to ChevyBaseball.com to support youth baseball. Plus, enter to win one of 4 trips to the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game and the keys to a new Chevrolet. And kids of all ages here today. Nice big crowd at Rangers Ballpark. Kansas City took game 1 last night in 14 innings, 12-7. And now the Rangers coming out screaming in the first 3 innings with 6 runs on 8 hits, and now a leadoff single here in the 4th. On the ground to Hosmer. Very good defensive first baseman. The Royals will get the force at second. We talked quite a bit about what he can do with the bat. Tom, the Royals think that he will also win a Gold Glove.
That's a pretty good combination. That makes him an all-star player for sure. I think, you know, a lot of people, a lot of fans, when they think of a first baseman, just think of a big guy that they stick at first base because he can't play anywhere else. But in the big leagues, if you don't have a good first baseman, you'll see it every single game because of balls they don't scoop from the infielders, plays they don't make on the ground. You put a lousy fielding first baseman out there in a big league game, and you're going to have a disappointed pitching staff and a team that's given up a lot of extra runs. I know that when Hosmer was in high school, he had reports say a 90-plus fastball. There's probably no doubt he could play right field if they wanted him to play right field. He's just playing first base because of what you said. He's such an outstanding first baseman.
One strike on Josh Hamilton with a fly ball to center field and a double to left so far. In addition to all the power numbers and the runs driven in for an MVP caliber player, Josh Hamilton also won a batting title last year. He hit .359. And at the moment, he is hitting .339.
Now, Hamilton had a stretch in the middle of the season for 3 months. It was about 340 at bats where he hit over 400. And it's hard to imagine that there's been many players have a 3-month stretch of better performance than Hamilton had. You know, we're talking about Hosmer being more than a power hitter, being a Gold Glove caliber first baseman. The same is true with Hamilton. He stole bases only when they needed him. He scored from second on infield outs. He made diving plays. He threw out runners. He did it all for the Rangers last year.
1-2.
And I think the thing that his teammates admire and fans appreciate is how hard he plays on every play. He runs out every ball. He doesn't take plays off. Never trots. One of the consequences is he's had some injuries, but that comes, I guess, with the territory.
And even if the Rangers had forgotten how much they missed Josh Hamilton, here's his return on Monday and the second pitch he saw from John Danks.
Second pitch, first swing. That excited the fans in a huge way, as well as his teammates.
That pitch stayed up. O'Sullivan backhands. O'Sullivan, one of the Royals we were talking about earlier that dropped quite a bit of weight during the offseason. He dropped 25 pounds.
Was that an organizational edict, or did they all do it on their own?
I don't remember hearing about it. I just remember when everybody started reporting for spring training, and this guy lost 20 pounds, this guy lost 25, this guy lost 18. It was just one after another.
Well, the thing I've always said, and the thing that every fan believes, is there's absolutely no excuse for a major league player not to be in shape. Fans can say, I could have caught that ball, I could have hit that pitch, and it's probably an exaggeration. But when a fan looks at a player and says, I could be in shape, that's something anybody can do. Any fan can hustle, can run out balls, and any fan can be in shape. And for a big league player, there's no excuse not to hustle on the field. And when you're making the kind of salaries that big league players make, with all that's at stake with their team, with their teammates, there's no excuse for not being in shape. And I've got a feeling with some of the Royals, it was just to get in better shape. It's not that they were out of shape. They just wanted to get better. More power to them.
Michael Young, left center field and deep, didn't quite get it, and Alex Gordon runs it down on the warning track. So for the first time today, Sean O'Sullivan has a scoreless inning, but Texas leads 6-0. City nothing. Ball one from Matt Harrison to Matt Trainer as we begin the fifth inning. Trainer grounded back to Harrison in the third. One ball, one strike. If you combine Harrison's last start Sunday against Philadelphia and today's, he has 12 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings. 2-1.
Harrison had a real good start, his first start of the season in this ballpark against the Red Sox. After that, he struggled in this ballpark. He had a good start against Oakland, rained out. 4 innings, shutout ball. Rangers had 7 runs in the game, 7-0 lead after 4 innings. The rain came and it didn't stop. And Harrison was rained out of what looked like another win.
The debate goes on and on. Is there any advantage for a catcher facing a guy that he used to catch? The catcher will say no, the pitcher will say yes.
Yeah, and I don't really know the answer to that, other than I would tend to agree that the catcher has some advantage knowing the pitcher. I have to think it works in his favor to some degree.
Tom, your key to the game today was keeping the ball in the ballpark, and the Royals have had difficulty doing that with the Rangers.
And the Rangers have been swinging the bats well. It's a day where the elements are conducive to the ball traveling out of the ballpark. Not necessarily as much to left field. I think that ball that Beltre hit is a home run anywhere, but certainly to right field.
Our Jeep game summary, and the Rangers for the 5th time in franchise history, back-to-back home runs. Matt Harrison strong on the mound, and the only Royal that has been on base twice so far is Billy Butler with a couple of singles. Escobar reached on an infield single in the 3rd inning. Good changeup. Escobar was convinced he had a fastball.
So Harrison throws a fastball, he throws a curveball, has a good changeup. He also throws a cutter, and probably a slider as well. But he's got all the pitches.
Is there one sink or swim pitch for Matt Harrison?
I think with Matt, his best pitch is still his fastball. But I think the thing that's really helped him this year is his ability to throw an off-speed pitch when he's behind in the count. It was probably never more evident than in the Red Sox game early in the season. With good, aggressive hitters, he fell behind 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, and was able to throw a curveball or usually a changeup behind in the count. And I think that's maybe been the biggest improvement for him, that the hitter just can't sit back and wait for his fastball. He's got confidence in all his pitches now.
Had Escobar off balance, and a fly ball to shallow center is pulled in by Andy Chavez, who was once a Royal. 2 down in the 5th inning. One thing that has gotten in Harrison's way since coming over to the Rangers has been the disabled list. He has been on the DL 3 times since the beginning of 2009, but has avoided the DL so far this year.
Yeah, and he really looks strong this year. He's another guy that lost some weight, became not only lighter but also stronger at the same time. And he's not a guy that they have to watch pitch counts with. They don't worry when it gets over 95 or 100 pitches. He can pitch up to 120, 125 pitches. They feel confident in that, and so does he. And that, I think, has been one of the dramatic changes in the overall philosophy and the feeling on the pitching staff. Is the Rangers several years ago, when Nolan Ryan got here, went from hoping your starter could go 6 and call that a quality start to expecting more. One more inning, one more out. Don't be satisfied. Don't look to the bullpen when you've got 100 pitches. We're going to push you more. 10 more pitches every start. One more inning. Because if the starting staff can do that, then the bullpen doesn't have to pitch as much, and it works better for everybody. Your starters are your best pitchers, so it stands to reason if you can develop the confidence, the strength, and the maturity to pitch deep into ball games, that's one more inning frequently where you've got a better pitcher on the mound. Mike Maddox has endorsed that. Ron Washington has implemented it. And Nolan Ryan is a big part of it. And I've always felt, Ryan, when a Ranger pitcher is on the mound, he looks over toward the dugout, and Nolan is here for every inning of every game watching the pitcher, and that has to be a motivating factor.
Moreland, for a moment, had to get around the first base umpire, but he brings it down. And Harrison just keeps rolling along with 5 scoreless innings and pitching with a big lead. Is presented by Lowe's. Lowe's, let's build something together. And the Kansas City Royals trying to build what the Texas Rangers have built. Adrian Beltre leads off against Sean O'Sullivan. The Royals were given the honor during this past winter as the best farm system in the major leagues by Baseball America, among other publications. Well, it was just 2 years ago, Tom, that the Texas Rangers had the best farm system in the major leagues. They went to the World Series last year, and that's where Ned Yost hopes the Royals are headed.
Well, I think when you look at those awards that Baseball America gives out to the best organizations, it's frequent where the team that wins that becomes a strong contender a couple of years later, and that's exactly what happened to the Rangers. They had a lot of good young players, and a lot of those young players are in the big leagues right now. And there's plenty of times where teams are guilty of over touting their own players, but this award is not an award that an organization gives to itself. And so when Kansas City is awarded the best farm system in baseball, and you look at the rankings and you see 3 of the top 10 position players in all of minor league baseball. Foul tip caught by Trainer, strikeout for O'Sullivan. Our Kansas City Royal players, you know that things are bright for the offense. They've probably got 4 or 5 pitchers ranked in the top 100. You'll start to see those in the major leagues over the next couple of years. And so when you combine what the Royals have right now, the improvements they've got out on the field right now, they've got their third place hitter in place, they've got their shortstop in place.
Nelson Cruz lines it over Alex Gordon, almost knocks the wall over. Gordon plays it quickly, fires it back to the infield, but Nelson Cruz is into second with a double. So he had been 0 for 15, and now he's 2 for his last 2.
Yeah, it's probably hard to hit a line drive much harder than this. That ball looked like it was 10 feet off the ground all the way to the wall in left field. The Royals have some key guys in place right now. They've got other key guys that are moving through the farm system. And so what has always been a very proud franchise, certainly if you talk to anybody that knows anything about Major League Baseball and the minor leagues, they will all say that the future is very bright for the Royals.
Early in the season, the Royals were a surprise team, not only in the Central, but the entire American League. They were leading the division, and Cleveland continues to prove they are for real. They're still way out in front in the Central. The Royals have fallen on some hard times recently. They have lost 10 of their last 13 games, but they have gained the respect of the American League. And as we talked about earlier, Tom, one of the ways they have done that is with the pressure that they have put on the defense with their improved base running. Moreland into right field. Dave Anderson, the third base coach, puts up the stop sign for Nelson Cruz. And Mitch Moreland has his 3rd hit. And here come the Rangers again with runners at first and third and 1 out.
Yeah, I think that Kansas City has done a great job this year adding to their young nucleus with veteran players like Frank Coor out in right field, who's playing just as well as he's ever played in the big leagues right now. Terrific outfielder, Gold Glove outfielder. Melky Cabrera has made a big difference. Matt Trainer's made a big difference. So they're doing things the right way. Now it's all about patience. You can't expect it to happen overnight. I think the thing about good young players is it can happen all of a sudden. You can go along for a year and a half, and the 1-loss record doesn't look that great, and then all of a sudden it starts to come together. You add that one key player. The young players mature at the same time, and all of a sudden you're in a position that Cleveland's in right now. Big lead in the Central. But for any organization that wants to be a frontline organization, it pretty much comes down to can you develop starting pitching. And Kansas City certainly has the young prospects, and now it's a matter of whether they can develop them to be big leaguers. The other thing, Ryan, that a good farm system does is it allows you, when you do get close, to be able to package up some minor league players to get that one key guy that you might need. Might be a reliever, might be a starter, could be anything. And that's one thing the Rangers were able to do at the trade deadline last year, is trade 10 prospects for key components to make sure that they got to the postseason. Kansas City will obviously be in that position with all the good young players they have.
Right field, Francoeur has a very good arm. The wind carries it out into medium deep right center field. His throw is offline, and Nelson Cruz comes down from third, and now the Rangers have scored in 4 of the 5 innings they have batted tonight.
And again, not to belabor the point, but the key, another key for that kind of a situation to arise is you have to have patience. So it takes, and not only an organization, a general manager, a farm director, and all the scouts and all the development people committed to that plan. It takes an ownership that's committed to it as well, because it doesn't happen overnight. And there's growing pains along the way, and there's times where you say, wow, is this plan really working? But if you believe in your people, you believe in your scouts, and you believe in your young players, if you have the patience, then ultimately it happens. And I think the other group that needs to show patience is the fans. The fans have to be patient and recognize that it's just not going to happen overnight.
Off of Avila's glove and into right field. Andy Chavez has his second hit. Moreland goes first to third.
When Bourbon, Julio Bourbon was hurt, Andy Chavez was called up from the minor leagues, and he's making a pretty good impact till he tweaked his hamstring. First game he started in about a week, picking up right where he left off with a couple more hits.
So Texas with 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 1 in the third, and now 1 here in the fifth. And it's inside to Ian Kinsler. Well, Sean O'Sullivan is doing exactly what he thought he needed to do. He has not worked many long counts. He has been throwing strikes for the most part. He is forcing the Rangers to put the ball in play early in the count. But his location hasn't been the best, and Texas has 7 runs on 12 hits. He is actually in much better shape right now as far as pitch count goes compared to Matt Harrison. 77 pitches for O'Sullivan, 92 pitches for Harrison.
Well, you're right, and the Royals have done exactly what you said the Rangers haven't done. They've had some long at bats, a lot of foul balls, working the count, and even though they haven't scored, they've extended the pitch count with a lot of 7 or 8 pitch at bats.
Three balls, 1 strike. Royals coming from behind last night and beating the Rangers. Last month the Royals were here. They were down 6-0 and came back and tied the game. Texas eventually won that. The Royals have an uphill battle tonight. They are down 7-0 after the Rangers had 1 in the bottom of the 5th inning. presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Chevrolet, proud to support youth baseball across the country, and by Michelin, a better way forward. There was a time, Tom Grieve, when Rangers Ballpark was huge in this area. Now it's the mini-me to the Cowboys Dome Stadium.
That's official. This is a beautiful, large ballpark, but you could drop it on the 50-yard line over there and it'd fit right in easy. That's a pretty amazing structure. And when the team first moved here back in 1972, they played at what was originally called Turnpike Stadium.
Moreland right up against the brick wall on the first base side. Melky Cabrera is 0 for 3.
And back then, there was nothing around the ballpark here. And back then, I'm sure the players and the fans and the people that lived in Arlington could never envision this park, let alone having the Cowboys and their incredible stadium right down the road. So for Arlington, Texas, it's quite a coup to have these two ballparks in their town.
And what a year it has been with both the World Series and the Super Bowl. Just several hundred yards away from one another.
Yeah, it's been a good year for North Texas sports teams when you consider the Cowboys. Well, they had the Super Bowl here. It wasn't that great a season for them, but the Mavericks are in the NBA Finals.
Eric Hosmer is 1 for 3, and that's something that the Royals have been encouraged with. Yes, he can hit for power, but with 2 strikes, does a good job of putting the bat on the ball and reaches with a 1-out single.
Yeah, that's an unusual quality for a 21-year-old who got to the big leagues quickly, to be able to handle big league left-handed pitching and to be a decent 2-strike hitter.
And now Francoeur, 1 hop to Kinsler, out at second, double play. That is the second double play that the Rangers have turned behind Harrison. Both have been started by Kinsler. Sean O'Sullivan throws a strike to Elvis Andrus as we begin the bottom of the 6th inning, and O'Sullivan really taking one for the team. This is kind of a throwback effort. There was a long period of time in this game, Tom, where teams were really worried about a young pitcher's confidence and his self-esteem, and if he got banged around early, get him out of there. But this is the way pitchers would hang in there when you played, that you're down early. Well, it's still your game, and now it's your job to keep the bullpen rested. Yeah,
and O'Sullivan can gain a lot of admiration from his manager for being able to stick it out 6 and who knows, maybe 7 innings. The overall line is not going to look good. Right now it's 7 runs on 12 hits. But in the overall scheme of things, when you look down the road the next week, what he might have done to spare 2 or 3 guys out of the bullpen, a couple of innings apiece, maybe an inning apiece, to keep them rested for tomorrow's game, the game after that, that's significant. It's not going to affect this game as much as it will the games in the future. And so while the line won't look good, he'll get a pat in the back from Ned Yost after the game saying, look, appreciate it. Didn't want to have to leave you in there that long. You were struggling, but thanks for sucking it up and getting the innings for me. That's a big thing.
We were talking about good guys on this team. Jeff Francoeur at the top of the list. Sean O'Sullivan, also one of those favorites in the clubhouse. He almost grabbed that with his bare hand. Elvis Andrus has a leadoff single to center field. Well, Minnesota hasn't had a whole lot to cheer for so far this year, but for a DirecTV game break, let's send it to Chris Rose and Mitch Williams in Los Angeles. All right, thank you, Chris.
Oh, what a story that would be.
It has already been a big story that Minnesota has struggled the way they have on the mound this year. I mean, whether they're hitting, running, fielding, whatever, you can always count on them being one of the best pitching staffs in the American League. Not this year.
Yeah, no, it just hasn't come together for them at all this year, and that is a shock. Of course, Joe Mauer hasn't played, but still, even without Joe Mauer, you would expect them to have performed better than they have. That's pretty shocking. A lot of slow pitches from O'Sullivan to Josh Hamilton. You know, it's a matter of Josh not being impatient. He's had a double in 3 at-bats. Loves hitting in this ballpark.
A second inning double tonight, 1 for 3. One ball, 2 strikes. (7-0) Texas, but the score was 5-0 at the end of 2 innings. The Rangers have hit 4 home runs, all solo home runs. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes on Hamilton. The Rangers are 4th in the league in home runs, and that will probably go up after what they've done tonight. But for years they were 1 or 2, but that was all they could do on offense. They are much more balanced now. 2nd in the league in stolen bases. They are 6th in the league in runs scored. Stayed back on that breaking ball. Whacks it to center field, and it sails over Cabrera's head and up against the padding. Elvis Andrus all the way around from first base. Josh Hamilton drives in his first tonight, and the Rangers lead 8-0.
He's seen a lot of slow pitches, curveballs, changeups, and here's another one. He waits on it. The ball's maybe outside, but a player with his strength is still able to drive that ball to left center field.
I was thinking the same thing, Tom. A lesser hitter is out on his front foot like that and hits a routine fly ball to center field.
Probably, yeah. That's probably where it would have ended up if you hit it or if I hit it. But we're not Josh
Hey,
Hamilton.
man, I just want to clear the mound.
Well, you might have gotten it over short for a base hit. I might have gotten it far enough for the center fielder to make a diving catch coming in for it. But needless to say, not many people can do what he does with that.
Now Michael Young, who has a loud 0 for 2. Walked and scored in the first. Otherwise, he has lined to center, and he has flied to the warning track in left. This one hit off the end of the bat. Aviles backs out, calls for it, 1 away.
Rangers have scored 8 runs, and 8 players in their lineup have scored 1 run. If Hamilton scores right here, all 9 players would have scored 1 run.
Left-hander Tim Collins warming up behind Sean O'Sullivan, who is still under 100 pitches, even though he's given up 8 runs on 14 hits and 5 1/3 innings.
Well, O'Sullivan hasn't had bad body language. He hasn't had a discouraged look on his face. He's had the same look of determination now as he did at the beginning of the game. He's given it all he's got. He's throwing the ball as hard as he can. He's trying to make his pitches. And you'd never know by looking at him if the score is 8-0. I think you have to admire him for the way he's gone about his business today. The numbers won't be good, but you can't fault the effort.
Beltre has driven in 3 against O'Sullivan tonight. Down to a knee, and Escobar will throw high, but Hosmer shifts his feet into foul ground, 2 away. O'Sullivan is very much a team player and probably goes back to being the oldest of 5 kids. Royals got him last year in a trade with the Angels, a deal that sent Alberto Callaspo back to his original organization. After being drafted by the Angels, he won 2 ERA titles in the minor leagues. He led his league in wins 1 year. He was the Angels minor league pitcher of the year 1 season, and he got to the big leagues a couple of years ago at the age of 21. Change up for a strike to Nelson Cruz. To left field, and the Texas Rangers have hit 5 home runs against Sean O'Sullivan.
Cruz had been struggling coming into the game. He was 0 for 14. He popped up his first time up, so he's erased an 0 for 15 with a single, a double, and a home run.
Of the 5 home runs, that's the first one tonight with a man on base. And now Nelson Cruz, who was 0 for 15 after popping out in the first. He's now a triple shy of hitting for the cycle. So a pitching change for Kansas City. The Rangers are out in front 10-0. Tim Collins right into the game, and Mitch Moreland flies out to left field. So Collins gets the final out of the bottom of the 6th inning. But the Rangers add 3. This is Fox Sports, home of the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Baseball Players Association in helping the victims of the devastating tornadoes that have hit our country. Support the relief efforts by visiting hearttoheart.org to make a donation and learn how you can help. And that hit home for the Royals, literally. Most of those tornadoes over the past weekend in Joplin, Missouri, which is a couple of hours south of Kansas City and nearby Redding, Kansas. Heart to Heart is a humanitarian organization based right outside of Kansas City. Yoshinori Tateyama takes over in the 7th inning.
Tateyama is the oldest pitcher to make his major league debut with the Rangers.
Beltre backs up, handles a difficult hop, and throws it well wide of the bag. Well, Beltre, who is an excellent defensive third baseman, is hit with an error, and he's had a tough night on defense.
Yeah, he kind of got caught back on his heels and was left with a long throw. He decides to lay back instead of charge it. He gets an okay hop, but now he's on his heels deep at third base. His throw looked like it sails on him a little bit. Moreland catches it, but quite a ways from the bag. So 2 errors in one game for Beltre, and that is unusual.
And now ball 1 on Wilson Betemit.
Actually, the other one wasn't an error. The other one, he got an out at first base. It was one he could have turned a double play on, not an error.
Which makes fielding percentage one of the most deceiving statistics in baseball, because it just counts errors. It doesn't count plays that should have been made and outs that should have been recorded.
Exactly. It looked like an error, just didn't get recorded as one.
That is the Rangers' 41st error this year. That is the most in the American League. And I would think that doesn't sit well with Ron Washington, who had a great reputation as a defensive guru when he was a coach with the Oakland A's.
Yeah, that's a question he's been asked. Has it been frustrating And, you know, Ron doesn't like to see it, but he says every time, look, I know our players are capable of playing better defense than they're playing. To a man, they're capable of doing that. They just haven't done it yet. I believe that they will.
Mike Aviles with 2 on, nobody out. And the Royals still have a mountain to climb if they want to get back into this game. However, the Royals have had some late inning magic this year. They have the 2nd most runs in the major leagues from the 7th inning on. They have the most runs in the major leagues from the 8th inning on. Now, they haven't come back from 10-0. So those 4 runs that the Rangers scored in the 5th and 6th innings were big, because sometimes this is the part of the game when Kansas City starts picking up steam. Into center field, Billy Butler. He'll be held at third base in a 10-0 game. And Mike Aviles has his first hit. The bases are loaded with nobody out.
He hit that pitch pretty hard for a pitch that looked like it was 4 or 5 inches outside. Reached out for it, got enough of the bat on it to hit a hard ground ball back through the middle.
Has the defense affected the Rangers pitching yet this year?
I don't think so. You know, Ryan, they've made a lot of errors, but at the same time, they've made a lot of plays that have helped the pitching staff. Beltre has made some errors, but I don't think you could look back at the first third of the season and say anything other than he has saved the Rangers a lot of runs at third base. Kinsler's played, Elvis has played at their position, short and second, made spectacular plays. Now, there's been some errors along the way. Andrus has made 7 or 8 errors. Let me take a look at that. He's made 10 errors, as a matter of fact.
Well, there's your point right there. I mean, you didn't even know he made 10 errors, no. So that must mean they're not standing out.
Right. But at the same time, when you look at him and you've watched him, you think he's a terrific defensive player. So a lot of the guys making the errors are really good defensive players that have made a lot of plays to help the pitchers. So I don't think the pitchers would look at it and feel like they've been shortchanged because of all the plays that the fielders have made.
Trainer squibs one off the end of the bat. This has been the game of the home run and the squib. The Royals are on the board, so the error turns into a run. It is 10-1. Now for a DirecTV game break. Let's send it back to Los Angeles for Chris Rose and Mitch Williams. All right, thank you, Chris. And so many times it happens that a pitcher is just rolling along. He's not giving up any hits. He's not giving up any base runners. Then the big letdown after the hit. And that's a 0-0 game. So Swarzak has to pull it together quickly.
Well, in Liriano's no-hitter, I think it was a 1-0 game as well. So not only are you battling to throw the no-hitter, which is maybe a once-in-a-lifetime thing, but more than that for your teammates, you're trying to pitch well enough to win a ball game. Michael Kirkman getting ready for the Rangers down in the bullpen. Just recently recalled from the AAA ball club.
Escobar 1 for 2 with an infield single. Soft liner run down by Andrus. And you know that feels good for Andrus. A couple of guys from Venezuela, very aware of each other's career, and 2 of the best defensive shortstops in the American League.
Yeah, I would say there's probably in each one's mind a lot of competition between the 2 of them to prove who is the best defensive player. And I think almost any team would take either one of them.
And now Alex Gordon, nothing out of 2 with an 8-game hitting streak. Not a true leadoff hitter, but that's where Ned Yost has him in the lineup at the moment, and it has paid off for Gordon and the Royals with an on-base percentage right around 400. He has hit safely in 8 of 9 games since moving to the leadoff spot. Very high in the air to right field.
Boy, he just missed that one.
The wind is pushing it back towards the infield, and Nelson Cruz had to run that thing down. First he was running back and then had to run back to the infield and makes a sliding play to end the inning. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Lowe's, is sponsored by Jeep and by the makers of New Bear Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of Major League Baseball. And the ball is flying out everywhere, even on the Little League ballpark beyond center field. The Rangers have hit 5 home runs. They have scored in 5 of 6 innings. All 10 runs charged to Sean O'Sullivan. Tim Collins came on and got the final out of the 6th inning, and now gets Mike Napoli, Andy Chavez, and Ian Kinsler. Napoli has 3 hits against the Royals this year. This is the 3rd series between the two teams, and all 3 hits have been home runs. And Collins has a 4-pitch walk. Collins pitched last night, and he pitched in and out of trouble in the 9th inning with 2 outs and nobody on in a tie game. 2 walks and a hit batter, but he got out of that. And then in the 10th inning with 2 outs, a single and a walk, and was bailed out by Lewis Coleman. Kansas City ended up winning that game in 14 innings. In winning last night, the Kansas City Royals got 11 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings from their bullpen.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. It was hard to imagine the way the first 2 innings went, that the last part of that ball game would go the way it did. That pitching could settle down both offenses the way the first 2 innings went. A tremendous job by the Royals bullpen.
At a play, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Andy Chavez. Tim Collins is a great story. He is 5'6". He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Blue Jays in 2007, and this happens so often in the game. A scout goes to watch one player and discovers somebody else. Well, the Blue Jay scout was looking at a pitcher that was 6'7", and he ended up signing a guy who is 5'6". Tim Collins last year traded to the Braves, and then 3 weeks later traded to the Royals.
He's not very tall, but he looks like he's put together pretty solidly. He's only 21 years old, but this kid has to be some kind of strong.
And he gets a double play, 4-6-3. That takes care of Napoli and Chavez.
This is the third straight day he's thrown. He threw somewhere around 35 or 40 pitches yesterday. He's right back out there again today firing. That's pretty rare that you'll see a young kid strong enough to pitch that frequently and that much, come back out and still have pretty good stuff.
.42 pitches last night.
He's got a unique delivery, and he's not what you would call free and easy. He's one of those maximum effort guys, but he's got a good arm. When he's rested against the Rangers, we've seen him throw 94 miles an hour. Got a pretty good changeup, pretty good curveball.
Melky Cabrera runs it down. Collins gives up a leadoff walk, but pitches a scoreless bottom of the 7th. Texas leads by 9 as we go to the 8th. Texas out in front 10-1 with 5 home runs tonight. Kansas City finally got a run across in the 7th inning, an unearned run, and now Melky Cabrera jumps on the first pitch and flies out to right field. Let's take a listen to tonight's sounds of the game.
Leading off for Kansas City.
How you doing, Mike? Yeah, I'm making it. Harry, I'm behind you. I got it. We'll call one. You can play.
First baseman Mitch Moreland telling Mike Estabrook, the first base umpire, when he said, "How are you doing?" "I'm making it." So we thank him for wearing a microphone tonight. That is not required, but nice enough to take us down to the field. And at the plate, Mitch Moreland has 3 hits, including one of the 5 Texas home runs. Andres Blanco is taken over at shortstop for Elvis Andrus here in the 8th inning. So the major league chapter of the Omar Vizquel fan club is well represented. 3 shortstops from Venezuela all grew up wanting to be Omar Vizquel someday.
You know, there's been a lot of good ones. A couple generations ago, they might have liked Luis Aparicio. Next generation probably liked it David Concepcion. Well, there's been some great shortstops come out of Venezuela. Chico Carrasquel.
Eric Hosmer is 1 for 4, 2 down in the 8th inning. This July, baseball's biggest stars will go head-to-head for one spectacular night and the summer's biggest event as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2011 Major League All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, only on Fox. Big sweeping slider is in for a strike to Jeff Francoeur. Francoeur 1 out of 3 with a 4th inning single. It was an otherwise frustrating year for Francoeur last year with the Mets, but then got that opportunity to finish up with the Rangers. Got a chance to play in the World Series. And when the Royals were here last month, both Francoeur and Matt Trainer were presented their American League Championship rings.
Yeah, they both played a significant role. Francoeur wasn't with the Rangers the whole season, but he made a good impact once he got here. Got some big hits.
Still 1-2.
Rangers gave away a lot of rings. All you had to do, I think, is be on the 40-man roster at some point in time, and you got a ring.
Two and 2. Took something off the slider, 73 miles an hour, and Tateyama knocks down the Royals 1-2-3 in the 8th inning. by Lowe's is sponsored by DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV. And by Lipitor. Andres Blanco taking over for Elvis Andrus defensively in the last half inning. Leads off the bottom of the 8th. Blanco, originally a property of the Royals, made his big league debut in Kansas City in 2004.
It's almost impossible not to be impressed with Collins. He leads the league in appearances. He's pitched 3 days in a row, 42 pitches last night, and he's still out there firing at 91 miles an hour. Not just for a token appearance today. He's going to throw well over 20 pitches again. That's some kind of strong kid, boy.
And a good fastball strikes out Blanco. 1 down in the 8th inning.
He's on pace to have somewhere around 90 appearances and 90 innings. He keeps going at this rate.
And if you can learn about a player just by looking at his face, he looks like a guy that wants to be out there all the time.
Yeah, I think he does. It's almost like Ned Yost looked down to the bullpen and said, "Any volunteers?" and he jumped up and started throwing again. Can't keep him out of a game.
No balls, 2 strikes, and as Hamilton bats with 1 out, we remind you about Wilfred, a new original comedy starring Elijah Wood. Premieres next month on FX. Hamilton strikes out. The ball ricochets off the weight over by the Rangers on deck circle. Hamilton didn't look like he really wanted to reach after the strikeout, and thanks to that little ricochet, Matt Trainer is able to throw him out.
If I was a big league manager, even if I was a manager of a fantasy league team, I would pick Collins on my team. I want that guy.
Before he signed with the Blue Jays, in the story we told you about 2007, he was planning on working for a construction company that summer. He was just going to frame houses. But because the scout who was there looking at a different pitcher, and that particular pitcher didn't throw, Collins appeared. J.P. Ricciardi was the general manager of the Blue Jays at that time. Collins was discovered. Not only did he get a contract, but 4 years later, here he is in the big leagues.
Pretty amazing. Yeah, J.P. Ricciardi is from Worcester, Massachusetts. I think that's where Collins is from, too. So pretty fortunate that Collins had someone there watching the game and saw him.
Throws a fastball by Michael Young. He's left-handed, but all that torque in his pitching motion, and because of his size or lack of, he reminds some of Tim Lincecum of the San Francisco Giants. Good arm, great deception, and he has pitched well tonight.
Well, he's my new favorite player.
2 1/3 scoreless innings for Collins tonight, but the Royals are down big in Texas.
Line with the ball.
Ninth inning, Royals down by 9. So Texas trying to get to 2 games above 500 and try and have first place all to themselves, still paying attention to what's going on in Minnesota. No score. Minnesota and the Angels in the bottom of the 9th. Billy Butler with 2 hits and a run scored for Kansas City tonight, facing Yoshinori Tateyama. Another long run for Cruz, and sliding across the line, he trapped it.
Wow, what a try.
That is a heads-up play by the first base umpire, Mike Estabrook. The fans don't like it, but Estabrook was running out to get as close to Cruz as he could.
Yep, good hustle by the umpire. He saw it all the way. Great try by Cruz. Not much foul territory, and when you're running that fast, even though there's padding on the wall, there's a perfect camera shot of it. It's probably a harder catch to trap that on a hop than it is to catch it in the air. But you almost have to slide. You can't go running into that wall. You break your shoulder.
Cruz made a very interesting sliding play to end the 7th inning on a high fly ball hit by Alex Gordon. First he sprinted back, then the wind grabbed it, then he had to sprint back to the infield and made a play. Beltre fields it cleanly, throws out Butler, 1 down in the 9th inning. Next week, Fox Saturday Baseball returns as the Cubs head to St. Louis to take on the Cardinals in a showdown between bitter National League Central rivals, or the Rockies battle the Giants in San Francisco. Next week's telecast of Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Sprint, begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Wilson Betemit 1 for 3 with a 7th inning single. The Rangers got 6 scoreless innings from Matt Harrison. Tateyama gave up an unearned run in the 7th.
Well, no one warming up in the Ranger bullpen. Tateyama's working on a save right here.
He just goes slower and slower.
It looks like it stops right in front of home plate.
These guys, and I mean this seriously, I think high school hitters would do better against pitchers like this because they're used to seeing 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Big leaguers are not.
That's right.
Kinsler's had a very good day on defense, and how about that throw? Almost falling over in shallow center field, and then Moreland helps him out with a stretch.
Yeah, there's not many second basemen who are more athletic than Ian Kinsler. He shows it on this play. He shows the range, the balance, and somehow gets enough on his throw from that angle, almost falling down. That's a pretty nice play.
And now strike on Mike Aviles. 1 out of 3 with a 7th inning single. To Beltre, down to a knee, and one night after snapping an 8-game losing streak here in Texas, the Kansas City Royals fall 10-1, and the Rangers led the way in all facets of the game. Good starting pitching. For the most part, good defense. Adrian Beltre with a rare error. And Texas hit 5 home runs. They scored 6 runs in the first 3 innings and cruised the rest of the way. So now the Rangers will wait to see what happens in Minnesota. At the moment, they are 2 games above 500 at 27-25, and they have a half-game lead in the West.
It was one of those days, Ryan, before the game where we said, based on the way the wind is blowing today, the ball will carry, and how important it was for the pitchers to keep the ball down. Sean O'Sullivan, for the most part, did his best to do that, but the Ranger hitters wouldn't let him.
A 9-run victory for the Rangers. Coming up after this break, we'll send you to our Fox Sports studio with Chris Rose and Mitch Williams.